letting go of money after a spiritual awakening. Or without one. We don't need to have any particular moment or moments that we call awakening to let go of attachments to money. And that's what we're talking about. As always, when we discuss letting go, we're talking about attachments. What we do with the things and the people and the places and the careers that are part of our lives is different than letting go of attachments. It will be impacted. The way that we look at a career when we're not attached to a sense of identity around our work is different. And the same will go for money. How we will handle money when we let go of attachment to it is different. Before I go any further, I am Jim Tolles. Thank you for joining me. I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. I've been teaching since 2010. I invite you to check out my blog, join me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever Twitter wants to call itself today. And please subscribe to my newsletter. There's a link down below, and also links on my blog, spiritualawakeningprocess.com. Stepping back, when I talk about awakening, I'm talking about coming into the understanding of what is real. It's not a magical, always good feeling. Sometimes people step into what is real and they're really upset. It's not a happy realization. They are understanding the reality of the pain that they're in. For other people, they step into moments that do feel good. But life is full of both. Moments that are enjoyable, moments that are unenjoyable. The practice of becoming free of ego, free of attachments, is surrendering to life as it is. And from surrender, you can engage with the realities in front of you better. You're no longer projecting what you want them to be or want them to stay. You are looking at them for what they are as best any human being is able. That last part is important as well. We're not speaking in absolutes. Absolutes, the always and never and the perfect, that is the world of the ego mind. With that said, this waking up to reality, we wake up to the reality that one, money does not exist. It is purely a concept. However, the current social illusion, the social illusion that we are all part of, wants to use it for everything. If you want food, if you want shelter, if you want clothing, if you want transportation, if you want medicine, you need money. And certainly there's a whole world of trade and barter and reciprocity that you can do in different ways. But the reality is, or rather the social illusion has created a certain social reality that we do respect, is that money is here to stay. And I have watched so many people fumble the ball on the money thing and get themselves into trouble. One reason is because being poor and being spiritual have been associated. The two are not the same. Being free of your attachments doesn't mean that you have to be poor. It just means that you see money now as a tool. It's the current social tool. When society no longer wants to use that tool, we'll use something else to get food, to get shelter, to get transportation, medicine, and all the other things. But instead, I get these messages through the years. Somebody's living in their van, and they're hoping. They're hoping it will all work out. And this is a interesting covert form of entitlement, that money will just come to them. And if we were really doing our inner work, we're going to step back and realize that everybody has always wanted to believe that all the things that they're going to need will come to them. We don't have to put a new spiritual ideology onto this. The new spiritual ideology has been the whole law of attraction. And then all the other different philosophical things that get created around that to try and make an idea true all the time. And the fact of the matter is, ideas do not exist. This is what we're surrendering. Gravity exists. The ideas in our minds do not. And in a very rich society, you can get by on that idea that things will just flow to you because there is so much money. Here in the US, there's so much money that you can have $100 just show up in your life. We are literally bleeding money in so many different directions. That doesn't mean we're bleeding fairly. Some people have more access to it based off of their social connections than others. And this is another aspect of learning to see what is. That's all I'm speaking from. With all the things I say and teach, the encouragement too today is to breathe and come back to awareness. And do this with any video, with any post on social media, and anything I'm writing on spiritualawakeningprocess.com. Come back to awareness and watch your reaction. And I'm pausing in this conversation on letting go of money. For those of you who have managed to come this far, come back to awareness. Notice what you're agreeing with. Notice when you checked out. If you checked out, rewind the video. Go find out what your ego didn't want to have. It doesn't want to hear. It didn't fit your beliefs, wasn't interesting. The ego does that. When you breathe, you come back to awareness. You see your disagreements, your agreements, and this is your whole ego structure. And that's where your work is. And the more you unlearn that, you can go investigate more of what I'm talking about with social life. And say, yeah, we're using money as a tool. It's neither good nor bad. Now, how it gets used is often combined, confused, conflated, that's a fun word, conflated with the tool itself. But money really is pretty neutral. We could go build a school with it, or we could build atomic bombs with it. We can create nasty radioactive waste with it, or we can create clean energy. We can do so many different things with it. It's that versatile, but how is the hand using the tool? The tool is not the problem. And whenever we run up with our ideas where we like to project onto tools, onto other people, other places, other things, that something is evil or bad or whatnot, that is our own unconsciousness. That's where our work is. You have to work on this path. And letting go of attachments to money is a big deal, depending on how you grew up. I grew up poor. Scarcity fears were a huge chunk of my inner work for a number of years. But money is just supposed to move. Get the resources you need. Support the people and situations you need. Be able to support yourself, support your loved ones. It's not meant to be hoarded. Some people will just get more. And I like to think of the human body as a wonderful example of this conversation on letting go. Waking up to see that blood is going to continue to run through your veins. The heart doesn't hold on to all of it. It doesn't deny the fingers blood. It doesn't deny the toes. For those of you who are listening and you have a great deal of wealth, you do have a responsibility to keep the blood flowing through you. The ego likes to run and say, well, this person's deserving, this foundation's deserving, this one's not, this one's not. And it's not that you just give it all away without discernment, right? These are the poles of the Western mindset, moving between this extreme of hold on to it or get rid of all of it. Middle path, people. There's a middle path. There's a lot of paths. There's a lot of gray area. This is where life is. Life is in the middle. Step away from the extremes. And if you're at the extremes, breathe, come back to awareness and see how you got there. there is inner work. There are other attachments to let go, because money is not going to be by itself. There's going to be a whole bunch of different fears, self-worth issues, scarcity fears sitting underneath money. Money is really more of a form of control. That's a mid-level ego issue. If anybody needs more help understanding different levels of ego structures, feel free to reach out to me about one-on-one sessions. As we let go of these attachments, the way that we want to use money changes. For those of you who've been a leaky faucet, you start to conserve a little bit more. You build up a savings. You get rid of things that you're putting money into that don't really serve you, like all the streaming services that don't give you any real value. They just distract you from yourself. For other people who've been holding on too much, you start to need to spend and start to fix the house that you've been ignoring, or go to attend to your health and find health practitioners because you've been avoiding that. Or you just feel like giving to things that matter to you that you have been holding back on and you have not done. Doing your work and letting go of attachments, it becomes clearer and clearer where you're not dealing with reality. And then new behaviors do come up. And it doesn't have to be fast. This is a thing I talk a lot about now. It's this whole reimagining your life and repatterning. Meaning that if you don't have a pattern of knowing how to save money, it's time to go talk to somebody who does know. If you don't know how to move it well, or to move vast amounts of wealth, if you have been so fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you're looking at it, to have a lot, then you start to talk to other people and learn more about the different ways and foundations and projects you could be involved in to move it well. Maybe it becomes a big restoration ecology project where you're helping to restore land, or conservation, things that perhaps in your mind you never thought you do or didn't even exist as a possibility. This is the world of reimagining, repatterning. With letting go of any major issue, you're going to have to go through that stage. There's not going to be an understanding and knowing underneath it. I used to believe that. I used to talk about that. We can talk a lot more about intuition and inner knowing and things like that if you want. Let me know in the comments. But the fact of the matter is we can't do what we don't know. We can't do what we don't know. We can let go of things, which is also a process of learning of how we let go, like letting go of money, letting go of the sense that this is who we are, that it brings us safety. Safety and money are deeply enmeshed. But money doesn't bring safety. Safety is a feeling inside. But I do want to say, because we're coming to the real world and the current social illusion believes in money that you need to get to a certain threshold to take care of your means. And what we don't want is all these different spiritual ideals that actually have nothing to do with spirituality. They're just bizarre ideals that impoverish people and put them in places where they can't take care of themselves. They put them in places where they say no to perfectly fine jobs because they're not conscious enough. Maybe you know what this is, or you've done this. If you are building nuclear weapons to destroy another company or a country, because maybe it's going to become companies at this point because some of these companies are so massively powerful. Another topic for another time. Yeah, I don't think that's conscious enough. I don't think you should go to that nuclear bombs building company. But as far as an accounting firm, doing some data entry, assuming again that you're able to take care of your means, it's not a big deal. So much of the purpose-driven ideas around money, and believe me, I've learned in my experience, is really about how do we make ourselves feel better without finding out why we feel so bad. And so with awakening, part of the whole process is finding out what's actually going on inside and changing how we use tools like money, how we look at career, how we look at savings, how we look at spending, how we value in general. It's all underpinned by how we feel about ourselves. And that inner work to unlearn these and let go of those attachments that are ultimately rooted in the body is really, really critical in all this. Letting go of money is not no longer using it or getting rid of all of it. It's not a vow of poverty. It just means you've let go of the attachments. Now you're free. Now you're free. What will you do with money in that freedom? I don't know. All I can tell you is that there are far more possibilities than you can possibly imagine. Thanks for your time and attention in watching this video. Please share it with maybe one other person, just a direct message. You can subscribe if you're not subscribed. Find me at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. Sign up. And if you want to use some of your money to support me, there's a donate link down below as well. Until next video.